You know those conversations? The really exhausting ones? The ones that happen, like, completely inside your own head?
Oh, yeah? You're driving, maybe trying to read.
Or it's 3 in the morning, right? And boom, you're back there in that mental courtroom.
Cross-examining someone in your mind.
Exactly. That
Yeah.
family member who always gets under your skin, or maybe an old friend who just vanished, or that boss.
The one who took credit for your idea. We've all been there.
And you're finally saying everything they absolutely deserve to hear, at least, in your head. You spend hours just stewing.
Ruminating. It's like you're telling yourself they really need a comeuppance.
Yeah. And it messes with your sleep, ruins your appetite. You just keep replaying these imaginary fights, hoping for some kind of, I don't know, delayed win.
Hmm. And that constant mental loop, that rumination, it actually creates this deep, damaging layer, like static frustration.
Static frustration. I like that. It feels right.
It's more than just mental noise. It gives this compulsive, almost corrosive quality to your moods. It chips away at your well-being, often silently.
And the tricky part is, you should probably say something. You feel that pressure building up.
But the thought of a real face-to-face confrontation with actual consequences, it's often just, well, it's completely paralyzing for many people.
Right. So you bottle it up. You let that cloudy, sort of latent annoyance just sit there and fester.
Exactly. Which is kind of amazing, isn't it? We often think we need these really complex long-term therapies for deep problems.
Yeah, years on a couch.
But for this specific thing, this unexpressed resentment, one of the simplest, yet honestly most powerful tools psychotherapy has given us is the empty chair technique.
The empty chair. It sounds so simple, maybe even a little odd.
It can seem strange at first glance, absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's what this deep dive is about, right? Understanding how this somewhat unusual process helps us take that internal poison.
And actually get it out.
And articulate it, force it out into the open, into concrete words. It gives us a real path toward release. Let's really unpack how this works.
Okay, so the mechanics. You said they're beautifully strange. How does it actually work in practice?
Well, imagine a client is really wrestling with feelings towards someone specific, someone maybe quite painful in their life.
Like who?
Could be anyone, really. A long-dead father who was never there, maybe a mother who was neglectful, or even a so-called friend who betrayed them badly.
Okay.
So instead of just talking about them in the third person like we usually do...
Which just keeps it abstract.
Right. The therapist invites the client to actually look at an empty chair, just a piece of furniture.
Okay, an empty chair. Then what?
And start talking to it.
Yeah.
As if that person, that father, that friend was literally sitting right there.
Wow, okay. I can immediately feel how weird that might feel.
And that simple instruction, it often slams right into our psychological defenses. I mean, think about why we don't usually say these things out loud in real life.
Fear, mostly.
Huge fear. We rarely speak with total clarity or sincerity because we're just dominated by these really powerful fears. There's that dread of being vulnerable.
Or afraid they'll hit back somehow. Retribution.
Exactly. Or just deep pessimism like, they'll never understand me anyway, so why bother?
Or maybe just manners. Like, it feels rude to make a scene.
For so many people, yes.
Yeah.
Stubbornly ingrained good manners. This feeling that you just shouldn't make a fuss, shouldn't complain, so the feelings stay locked inside, latent.
Okay, I have to jump in here. Isn't this just, I don't know, a bit silly? Talking to furniture, don't people feel foolish? How is it different from just, yelling at the traffic?
That's a really important distinction. Yelling in the car, that's often just venting. It's unstructured, often cyclical, just noise, really.
Okay.
The empty chair technique, especially when guided, is different. It's about formal articulation. You're actually invited, encouraged to find the specific true words for your feelings.
Finding the words.
Yes. And once you get past that initial hurdle, that feeling of, this is really weird talking to a chair,
Yeah.
something often shifts quite dramatically.
Kind of shift.
The person often finds they're, well, way more eloquent than they thought possible.
No.
Sure of what they actually needed to say all along.
Really?
Yeah. They become, as the source material puts it, more at home with letting the world energetically know how things look through our eyes.
Why? Because the other person isn't actually there to react.
Precisely. The absence of the real person, the one you fear, it removes that immediate fear of consequences. It frees up your language. It allows it to be truthful, not censored by fear or politeness.
I see. So the goal isn't really to fix things with the other person right then and there. It's about getting clarity for yourself.
That's the core of it initially, internal clarity. And that freedom allows for concrete articulation. which is just worlds away from that vague, swirling annoyance inside your head.
Right, it's not just I'm angry.
No. This formal articulation, this kind of public audition, even though it's just for an inanimate object, it's powerful because you're finally formalizing the resentment, giving it shape.
And you mentioned some really vivid examples earlier. That difference between vague anger and specific truth, it goes from just feeling mad to actually delivering the precise message.
Exactly. Think about that example of the son confronting the absent father. He finds that piercing clarity. Dad, why did you have children if you couldn't ever be bothered to get to know them?
Oof. Yeah.
Why did you think that your responsibility stopped at providing for them materially? That's a razor-sharp question. You can probably only ask it like that when you're not terrified of the answer or the reaction.
Or the other one, the friend example.
Yeah.
Confronting the supportive friend who actually isn't, moving past that passive-aggressive stuff.
Right into the core betrayal. Chris, why do you pretend that you don't want to be intrusive when, in fact, you just never take an interest in me, despite the hours that I have listened to your troubles?
Wow, the specificity there. It's really powerful. It cuts right through.
It does, and this really brings us to that core therapeutic idea about anger. It's such a potent metaphor. Anger is a poison.
And to speak it is to drain it of its malevolent power. I like that, draining the poison.
It reframes everything, doesn't it? We spend so much energy obsessing about the reaction of the person who hurt us. We sort of assume that the only useful speeches are the ones delivered to actual, attentive, flesh and blood listeners.
But this technique suggests something else, something quite profound, actually, that maybe it matters far less that we are heard.
Then that we simply get the chance to speak, to articulate it fully.
The real emotional work, the transaction, happens inside the speaker.
Exactly. When you formalize that resentment, find the words, and finally let it out of your system, you're prioritizing your own release. You're healing, not their understanding or their guilt necessarily.
Your release over their reaction, that's a big shift in perspective.
It is. And that release is especially vital for a certain group of people. Those of us who, perhaps for very good reasons back then, had to learn early on that emotional survival meant being, well, extremely good boys and girls.
Ah, okay, so this connects back to childhood stuff, where being good was actually a survival strategy.
Often, yes. If you're one of those people, your goodness often came at a huge cost. You essentially learned to suppress your own needs, your own voice, as a fundamental way of coping.
Why? What kind of situations lead to that?
Think about the environment growing up. Maybe you didn't have many chances to be anything but compliant. Perhaps a key figure, a parent maybe, posed some kind of threat.
Like,
Well, maybe dad struggled with alcohol or had a volatile temper. Maybe mom was neglectful or emotionally unavailable. Or perhaps a sibling was very ill and the whole family focus had to be on quiet, unobtrusive support.
so the child just learns to be quiet.
They sense, often quite correctly, that survival depends on being meek, on silence, on good humor. Even when they felt terrible, they learn not to rock the boat.
And the long-term price of that silence, of always being the good one.
It's this deep internalized gap. As an adult, you might find you simply lack the knowledge, the skill, of how to complain effectively, how to set boundaries without feeling overwhelming fear.
You learn to just smile and appease.
Even when every part of you just needed to scream or cry about how unfair or cruel things felt, a long wail was needed, but silence was safer.
And that pattern continues into adulthood.
It does. That childhood training means even minor friction as an adult can feel terrifying. You struggle to send cold food back in a restaurant. You say yes to impossible tasks at work. You let pushy friends walk all over you.
Because complaining triggers that old panic.
Exactly. That original silence, it got you through childhood. Maybe it won you a safe enough passage into adulthood. But it's ongoing nature now. It threatens to ruin the rest of your years. You're still that child inside, biting your tongue, even when the adult you desperately needs to speak up.
So the empty chair becomes like a safe rehearsal space,
Yeah.
especially for these people.
Precisely. Because the fear isn't just about how the other person will react. It's also about yourself, isn't it?
What do you mean?
You worry that if you really let go, if you open that emotional valve even a tiny bit, you'll just collapse into humiliating tears.
Or explode into unmanageable fury.
Yeah. You fear losing control completely. An emotional catastrophe.
The technique helps you manage that potential catastrophe. It helps you control it because it isolates the emotion from the immediate real-world consequence.
Okay, so you're practicing. Practicing being angry or assertive.
In a structured, focused way. without the actual person there to trigger your deepest fears or your learned compliance.
So you're learning a kind of refined assertion.
You could call it that. You're gaining skills, learning ways to speak up without shouting, learning how to say no without feeling like you're causing an earthquake.
Standing up for yourself without feeling, I don't know, entitled or like you don't deserve it.
Yes, the goal is to assert your needs clearly and cleanly. And crucially, to start trusting your own voice again without unleashing that internalized chaos you've been carrying, maybe for decades.
And the best part seems to be its simplicity. You don't need to wait. Not at all. That's the beauty of it. You don't need to wait for a therapist appointment or find some special clinic. The power is in its immediate potential.
You can just start.
You could start now. Use any available object, anything you can designate as the chair, to externalize that conversation, to finally formalize what's been suppressed for so long.
So, wrapping this up, we've really dived into how a simple piece of furniture, an empty chair, can become this incredibly profound psychological stage.
A place to resolve potentially years of that latent frustration, that suppressed anger.
And the key insight seems to be that sometimes the simplest setting can unlock the deepest stuff, allowing us to finally speak that poison out loud.
Even if the person you're speaking to is nowhere near, or maybe even long gone.
It's about the speaking, not necessarily hearing.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with a final thought. A way to turn this technique into something you can try right now, just as a reflection.
Okay.
Just take a look around the room you're in. Find the nearest available chair. Could be any chair. And ask yourself, honestly, who should be sitting there right now? And what is it? What is it you've needed to tell them for the longest time?